Okay, so from the...
All right, so we're
big
describing
spiel.
Socialize to Haley here. I might as well make this video public. I mean, let's go for it. Maybe not. We'll see. All right, so this is something that we're doing for WWDC. It's a way to get email addresses from app developers. Haley is going to be taking this around while everyone's standing outside in the WWDC line. By the way, make sure you dress warmly because it's going to be cold. So to describe Socialize, there's three main components to Socialize. There's a client side, and then there's an infrastructure piece. So it's like a platform as a service, social infrastructure, but as a service. And the reason that matters is because it just works. Like there's nothing they have to install or maintain. We are powering social actions. And then over here is a client or a dashboard. Okay, so on the client side, there's a social API. It's represented as an iOS and Android SDK, which is open source, and then there's an action bar. So if you really just want to drop Socialize in, you can use the action bar. If you want to modify the SDKs, you can do that because they're open source. If you want to build against the API, you can do that too. So you can go as deep down the rabbit hole as you want to go.
Wait, what's the difference between modifying the SDK and building against the API? Because I thought that they were the same.
So the SDKs use the API.
Okay.
The way to think about it is if you're baking a cake. You heard this analogy from me before?
Maybe. I
It's
hear a lot
pretty
of
good one.
analogies.
All right. If you're baking a cake,
Okay.
the API is like the recipe to bake the cake in the
Okay.
recipe book. It's a set of instructions, but you still have to bring all of your own ingredients, right? So
Yeah.
you still have to bring your own eggs and flour and all that stuff. The SDK is like the Betty Crocker cake mix. So the SDK means here is some pre-built functionality that uses the API that you can use to more easily make your app social.
Okay.
Okay, so we have an like iOS SDK and an Android SDK, like having vanilla and chocolate cake mix.
So if someone is... Sorry. Why would someone tinker with the API as opposed to the SDK? Like what's the end goal?
Good question. So if they have a Windows Phone app, and we have not made an SDK for Windows Phone, for example, they could
Okay.
build directly against the API. Or if they just have such a custom integration that they don't want to use any of our SDK and any of our pre-built views, like we have a comments view and all sorts of views, they'd be like, okay, I'm going to use the API.
Okay. And is the SDK when they customize the UI too? Is that what they would do?
Yes.
Okay.
You can, so we've packaged everything up as an action bar, but you can change the colors, or you can change the icons, or the image assets, or anything.
Okay. I get
Okay,
it.
got that?
Yeah.
Okay. The second part is the actual Socialize functionality. So the client plugs into the Socialize infrastructure. That's when we authenticate the app, which you've done. And we have all sorts of functionality. So, you know, comment, like, share, the ability to reward users, to do smart alerts. You know, you don't have to talk about this functionality in detail, but you can just say, we make your app awesome because we're making it social and we're doing a bunch of really great stuff.
Okay.
These are grayed out because we're not doing them yet, but it's the kind of stuff that's coming. So you can say, we make more functionality, you don't have to do anything, it just works.
Okay.
Right? And on the back side is this dashboard, and this is where the app developer can see things like, who's my most valuable user? How do I communicate with my most valuable users? I don't know if you saw the form stack video that we just did yesterday. You probably haven't seen it yet.
No.
It's on the blog. But it's like I can send a poll, a question out to specific users.
Okay.
Things like that.
Yeah.
So that's the Socialized systems, the three pieces. Madam, is that enough for me to get your email address?
Yes, gladly.
All right, cool. All right, we'll see how this goes. It's an experiment, so good luck.
Thank you.
Bye.